Hey everybody, it is Brian from quantlabs.net. Today I'm going to show you another methodology that a lot of quants and algorithmic based traders use to optimize their market prediction, market analysis, market forecasting. Of course, we're talking about curve fitting. This is a user's guide for that toolbox from Matlab and MathWorks. I've already gone on about various different toolboxes that help quants and more advanced traders get into predicting the markets. This is one of the better ways. There's not a lot of math in it as much, but this does make life a lot easier. Okay, so let's start going through this. All right. First, we're going to talk about just the curve fitting and surface fitting. I really like this one a lot. Spline fitting I'm not too familiar with, but I'll try to get into that because there's a separate toolbox for splines. But there's potential with this, but I'll figure that out later on. Then there, of course, is interactive curve fitting, examples, how to process the data, parametric, non-parametric. You can tell if you've been following my membership for a couple of, maybe last week or two, about all this parametric, non-parametric type of model building. You'll see a pattern here. So of course then we get into interactive. Now, one of the most powerful things, especially if you're not a programmer, are the tools that MathWorks provides in some of their toolboxes. This is just another example of it. I'll get into that in a minute. As well as the interactive is just really powerful. But this is what I really wanted to go on about, is generating the code for what you feel is a fit to your curve. Now, if you are a programmer, and you should be if you are in a model building and strategy development, this is the most powerful, is programmatic curve and surface fitting, because now you can do it programmatically and not have to do it with a click and trade kind of way. You can have real-time data come in through a feed like my IQ feed, and then set up some kind of system to automate this whole process. Send out signals, send out triggers, send out all kinds of stuff. Programming really helps here. And of course we get into our curve fitting techniques. Least squares is one of the more popular ones, residual, and no doubt there. Now we get into the spline fitting. I really can't get into that a whole lot because I'm not familiar with it. But I will focus on the spline toolbox down the line. As I said, there's the least squared approximation, ODE, another popular one. A few of these I'll probably skip because I haven't seen them among the world of quant forums and stuff. So I only work with stuff that I'm familiar with or I know of, or that's the whole purpose of this process. Okay, so we get into the curve fitting. So I'm going to go through this entire user guide or PDF. Now again, these user guides are only available to licensed users of Matlab, so I don't think you can freely find these available on the internet, but you may get lucky. Now, here's one of the big advantages. You get over 700 pages for this toolbox. Now that's quite a bit, but you'll see through the examples that are given, they are quite high quality. Dare I say it's Microsoft manual quality from the early days of when Microsoft was really cool. I'm not saying Microsoft isn't cool. I think they are, but a lot of people think otherwise. That's their business, not mine. Anyways, I'm sure you can start to see this would be a typical curve you may see in a market asset. Then you might get something like this, which would be maybe a drawdown. But you can see the uses of this, where you can analyze this sort of stuff. and here's the different ways to measure it. On and on and on it goes. There's so much potential with this. This is why people pay top dollar for things like Matlab and these type of toolboxes. But this is where I get really excited. If you're a non-programmer, and a lot of people aren't, you can generate the code from these tools. I love that option. So you can learn from it and actually improve your capabilities of programming. I find that the Matlab M scripting language is not that difficult. You know. But anyways, here we have a typical scatter plot. There's different ways to the charting tools of Matlab are pretty top notch. There's different ways you can, as I said, smooth the data, find any relationships in the data, and that's what it's all about. So these tools enable you to do that. Again, scatter plot, and then you can try to build some kind of model from that. That's power, and that can be done instantly thanks to tools like Matlab. You know, I've seen other third-party tools that do this, and they're really, really, really expensive. But you can see right into the detail of the different types of fits you can get: cubic fit, linear fit. Now, when you get into cubic fit, that's when you start getting into your splines. So I'm going to do some detailed analysis to see if there's any potential there to use this type of tool or toolbox, especially with a spline. Not a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people don't even know about spline fitting. Okay, so now we're getting into the crust of it, fitting the data. This is where we build our models. Our predictive models come from this sort of thing. Every quant I talk to, every professional hedge fund manager, this is what they're trying to do, is to develop some kind of relationship, some kind of algorithm from the data. And they might build something like this using Fourier, Gaussian, on and on it goes. So there's different types of distribution you can apply. Again, I'm not going to go into great detail on what each of these are, but I'll highlight them, and then I'll have you on your own figure out what you think is best. Just giving you the roadmap to figure it all out. So on and on it goes. I'm hoping you see the power of this already. This is one of the, just looking at it from a high level in the user guide, is just, I'm already getting excited to dig into this stuff. You know, this is real world stuff. And of course they provide some really good examples of it. Yeah, as you can see, blah 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 blah. We've already done polynomial in past videos for my membership. Again, this is only exclusive for my members, and this is looking to be one of the more promising ways for non-math and non-programming kind of people. Look at that! You could build some kind of data here. And this is all done in one toolbox, in one tool, and it works pretty nice. So we're probably going to go through all these steps, see the potential. So you can see here, here's the data, and this is what it's trying to figure out the best data curve fitting for that. These come, of course, your signals, your triggers, your events, something like this might be useful. And again, you can imagine here, like if you're a technical analyst, you could say, hey, this is my data, here are my cross points for my entry, my exit on something like a MACD or something. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of potential here. Lots. Okay, now we're getting into something called surface fitting. Surface plots I really like, and I'm going to show you why. There's ways to generate this, but typically through the webinars, if you follow the Matlab webinars, even in the algorithmic, you'll see some examples here where you get these kind of surface plots, these 3D surface plots where they have different points within the surface, and then they have a color representation. So in this case, wherever it's red, is in pretty well the most profitable, and the most profitable, the max point, is where it could be your profit potential, whatever you're analyzing. Okay, so those are pretty important things to be on the lookout for. Now, removing outliers. Now, I've said before, I've seen tools where they try to remove outliers of software that does it. Very expensive software. I mean, we're looking at software in the thousands that does this. This is part of what Matlab does. Now, you can see, just guiding you through detail by detail. Again, you can do all this programmatically, generate your surface plot. Again, here, this would be a typical example of your profit potential. Now, if you follow me on all these things that I'm doing, you may be smart enough to pick up that, whoa, this might be a good way to analyze the markets. Now again, residuals is another thing that I'm starting to see a lot of potential with. Let's say you put an upper and lower bound, no different than something like an RSI. You generate your residuals. I'm not going to tell you what they are. Oh, I mean, they're essentially, if you run a regression, you calculate your residuals. So if they're out of bounds, that might be an entry or an exit or a signal of some kind that you can use on that data. And again, you can do all of this real world. Now, again, you've not heard me talk about Simulink. Now, I've only mentioned that this morning, that of course I'd be only an idiot not to focus on Simulink. But the powerful thing about all this is this type of functionality coming out of Matlab can be used to generate a trading system. This is where it gets exciting. A trading system to do this sort of thing automatically against real-world market data in a real-world market feed. Generate your signals and generate a non-human intervention system, basically an automated system that can do all your calculating, do all your trading, and just be able to build a very powerful robot that can do all this. Now, I'm not saying it can or cannot work. It's just the potential's there. It's not one of those quick rich schemes. Obviously, you got to put a lot of work into it and a lot of innovating into it. But using Matlab just makes life a lot easier if you're into this sort of stuff. And that's just one of many examples. I mean, this is just curve fitting. There's so many other ways to go about it. And this is just surface plot. But here, this is what I was referring to, is where you do your contour. And remember I said the redder it is, the better. So this would be one spot. You could say, oh, there's probably some potential here. Generate this plot and go, oh, this is where I should be at. Now imagine if you did that in real time. Okay? You could do that with Simulink. I'm going to show you how to do that. That's going to take me a couple of months to figure that out. And again, as a secondary test, you could use your residuals to do your upper and lower bound test. Now, wouldn't that be awesome? You can do all that in an automated way with, again, Simulink. Now, again, I haven't mentioned about Simulink is that you can generate nice C++ code from that, as well as you can generate a lot of code for your FPGA solution as well. Now, we're about only halfway through it. Now, remember I said as programmers, you can do what I just showed you are done through GUI tools like graphical user interface tools from this toolbox of the curve fitting. Now, I have mentioned you can do all this programmatically. Doing that programmatically is very powerful. So here we go. We got typical, curve fit, blah 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 blah. I'm sure you've seen all this, but now you can raise events, send out signals, and have a trading system follow and execute orders based around those signals. You can't do this sort of thing with TradeLink, TradeStation, and even if you could, you'd be paying in the thousands for it. Okay, so on and on it goes. Curve fitting is a very powerful way. Now, again, I'll be going through these code examples, doing videos I've already done an example for my YouTube audience. This is typically how I do it for my members. We do live webinars to answer any questions. Yeah, I'm hoping that you can see the power of this. I'm just kind of blown away on it. Again, this is exactly what I want to show. This would be the highest value. Red is what you want. Wow. Yeah. I don't know if you are getting excited when you see this sort of thing, but I do. Hey, Brian, continuing along. You can tell you can do some prediction boundaries. Obviously here and here in your data. As I said, you got your residual analysis. There's different methodologies. Interpolants. But I don't know if that's really important. Now getting into the spline fitting, I mean, there's a whole toolbox lay around that. So I'm going to show some examples of that, if there is any potential for forecasting. I'll do my best. So of course I talk about least squares, one of the popular ways. We don't care about that stuff. Vector, that's for Photoshop kind of stuff. Yeah, that might be part of it. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, I think a lot of this is just more for, like I said, Photoshop kind of analysis, if you're into vector graphs and whatever. But you never turn away those type of analysis tools. They can be really useful. You just don't know until you try, right? These splines I've heard of. Keeping it real here. I'm hoping to find something useful. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything here. More like 3D kind of stuff, it looks like. But we don't really need to worry about that. Certainly like the spheres. I mean, if anybody tell me about if there's market data that comes in spheres, let me know. Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot here. I always like this least squares methodology. No doubt on that. Okay, I might have something here. ODE, I've looked at. Might be some potential here. As you can tell, I'm doing this live. Never seen this stuff before. Never ever say no. I'm going to mesh. Same as the plot. No color, I guess you could say. Yeah, I'm just an average dude trying to do stuff. Okay, so that's pretty well it with the curve fitting. Here you get a glossary, and then it gets into the list of functions available in this toolbox. So I'm going to go over it, see what comes up, what doesn't come up, and let you know. And again, it's only available for my members. Hopefully, it'll also help you out.